Yo, what's going on, guys? This is BunnyMuffins, and I know it's Thursday, but I got a little excited, so I just made the whole update to the meta snapshot. There are a few things missing. I haven't filled out every single bullet that I've done before, but this should give you a brief guide on how to play a lot of the top comps right now. I'll be coming out with more guides this weekend, and I'll be filling out everything. For everyone who's been here before, you guys know that I fill out like difficulty, item dependency, variance, and then like some requirements, and then a quick guide on how to play it, as well as some counters. But this one's like semi-filled out, but if you look at any of my old meta snapshots, these are always really, really detailed. Did not have time to do that yet, but I will be doing this in the next week or so. And let's just get right into it. Starting at the top, Assassin Leblanc. I actually did like a hidden update to this meta snapshot on my website. So for those of you who are here when the game came out, congrats to you because you were able to know that Leblanc was broken. Probably before a lot of other people. So I guess that's your little reward for always checking the website, bunnymuffins.lol/meta. But let's get into the rest of the compositions, because there's obviously more than one playable composition. It's the beginning of the set, so obviously things are subject to change very rapidly, in my opinion, and they might even do some hot fixes on Tuesday. Who really knows? But after LeBlanc, I like Aphelios a lot. Aphelios, I mean, he hits the entire enemy team whenever he gets his ability up. And if you have a Deathblade on him, that does a lot of damage, and it gives him more Deathblade stacks. So for A tier is kind of weird. So for the Draconic builds, Ashe and Zyra and Skirmishers, these are like the strongest compositions if they get everything going for them. However, every game, you don't always get everything going for you, and that's why they're in A tier and not S tier. So if you're getting high roll Draconics, high roll Skirmishers, if you are new, high roll essentially just means you got like lucky or got a very good start for it. You're probably going to be winning the game just because the cap on these comps is so high. And if you don't get a great start for them, they're still okay to play, but they're just not going to be, you're not going to get first place, and you might be fighting for like 5th place, for example. Now onto the other A tier comp, we have redeemed Vel'Koz. Vel'Koz, he's like probably the best spellcaster of this set so far. I really like him a lot. I liked him in redeemed build. You don't even need Spellweaver, which is his second trait. You just go like 6 redeemed and it's really strong. So next up in the B tier, we have Forgotten Draven, we have Dawnbringer Karma, Hellion Reroll, Coven, and Vayne Reroll. All of these are pretty solid. They're in the B tier because I just don't think they're as strong as all these monsters up top, because these are like, I feel like these are the big heavy hitters. Then in the C tier, we have Nightbringer Yasuo, Blender, and Abomination. So don't play Abominations with ZZ Rot spam. They just removed that interaction from the game. So we'll check out other Abomination builds maybe down the line in next patch. Blender, Nocturne, no reason to play Nocturne when LeBlanc exists. So if you're going Assassins, just go for LeBlanc, guys. And then this Nightbringer Yasuo build, like, it still needs some fine tuning. It's really like, it's like a really rough sketch right now. So once people figure out better builds for this, maybe it can come back. Also, don't get me wrong, you could still play the C tiers and do fine. It's just, they're not going to perform as well as all these other compositions I listed. Don't let this deter you from like starting new builds, because ultimately at the beginning of the set, like so many things are going to be changing and it's going to be really rapid. So onto the S tiers. S tiers, I always say like you could force them, you could like play them very, very often, and you'll probably do fine with them, even if like you don't get the best games for them. So LeBlanc, best item by far is blue buff, dark blue buff, because she has 50 mana, and Dark Blue buff gives 50 mana when you have below 60% health. And with the Guardian Angel, she's going to be living when she's below 60% health. So she's going to be constantly throwing out her change, which stuns 2 people. There is a bug with LeBlanc right now. Sometimes she only stuns 1 target, but even with that bug, she's still very, very powerful. Diana with a Frozen Heart is like the strongest singular champion plus item combo in the game right now, because it just jumps to the backline. No one's building Quicksilver. And yeah, their attack speed's gonna be really slow for a pretty long time because Diana's pretty difficult to kill. In the front line, we have Ivern and Volibear. These are gonna be Revenants for Nocturne, who is our secondary carry. He likes attack damage items such as like Runons, Infinity Edge, all that stuff. Viego's just there for 6 assassins, same for Kha'Zix. And then Katarina, you could also itemize Katarina as well. So the secondary carries are Nocturne and Cat. If you get ability power items, put them on Cat. If you get AD items, put them on Nocturne. That's the general rule of thumb I'm using, at least. The way to play this comp is you go to level 7, normally on 4-1 or 4-2, and then you just roll for 3-star everything. And yeah, you'll just steamroll everyone after that. Now on to Nightbringer Aphelios. This one is just the typical 4-cost carry type of builds. You're going to have Rangers with Kindred and Aphelios. Just 2 Rangers is enough. You don't need 4 Rangers. And then frontline, you just play all the Nightbringers. And then throw in Nautilus and Rel because it's an OP tank combo. For Morgana, you could do something like a Guardian Angel and a Morello. That's going to take you through the mid game really, really easily. And yeah, the leveling pattern for this composition is just standard. You kind of go like level 7 when you can. Maybe you roll a little bit if you're feeling kind of weak. If not, go fast 8, roll down everything, and then hit Aphelios 2 and the rest of your team. Onto the next build, we have the A tiers Draconic Ashe. So Draconic Ashe and Zyra, they're going to be really good if you get Draconics early, 3 Draconics. That is Udyr, Set, and one of the 3-cost units. And then whoever you go for your carry, it's whoever you get to 3-star from the Draconic eggs, or it's going to be whoever you have items for. So if you have a lot of attack damage items, you're going to be building Ashe. If you have a lot of ability power and mana items, you're going to be building Zyra. For Zyra, I like combining the Abominations with her because you get Spellweaver from Brand, and then like Nunu's just the tank, and then Rise is a Mystic, which is nice. For these guys, you still play Abominations, but you throw in stuff like Rangers because you need Kindred to get the Ranger buff. So Kindred also gives Mystic, which is pretty useful there. After that, throw in a bunch of other units. I chose Volibear, Heimerdinger, and Ivern because they're all pretty tanky for this team. And down here, we just have the Heimerdinger. You kind of have more free slots to play around with. They're very similar builds, but it just depends what items you get and who you get to 3-star from the eggs. Now on to Vel'Koz. Redeemed Vel'Koz. What a team. So I like having Jeweled Gauntlet on Vel'Koz. Evil or normal Jeweled Gauntlet is going to be fine. Quicksilver is really good. And then Gunblade is great for healing. He'll be able to 1v9 at the end of the game with this Gunblade. So what I like to do is also stack a lot of Chalices. You could do Chalice of Malice or Chalice of Harmony. Both are going to be working really, really well because you can't get enough of them. Vel'Koz, he does a lot of damage, and he'll move around after he kills a unit. So the faster you kill a unit, the more he moves around to hit other units. One thing to note, you don't need Evil Quicksilver. It's a fine item to build, but I think regular Quicksilver is better on Vel'Koz because he normally kills most of the people with his first ultimate if he has a lot of Chalice of Powers to buff him up, or if you have like a full damage build. Either work though, because we can't always choose our items, but I like the regular Quicksilver a little bit more. Onto the next build, we have, and the way to play this, it's just standard leveling, so fast 8 or like roll a little bit on 6, roll a little bit on 7 just to stabilize, and then go fast 8 after that. So now onto Skirmishers, same leveling pattern here, it's you just play standard, and then the key thing about Skirmishers are Jax items. There are no replacements for Jax items pretty much. Caustic Quicksilver is for sure the best item on him, and then Runon's Untamed Hurricane, this is going to be the best damage item on him. After that, Bloodthirster or Risk Thirster works, and then like maybe you could get away with a Hand of Justice. I haven't tried it personally, but just getting a Bloodthirster or Risk Thirster is so important as a third item. But for sure, Runons and the Caustic Quicksilver are going to be extremely, extremely good for you. The reason why is because Skirmishers give attack damage for every time that passes during a fight. So at the end of the fight, he's going to have so much damage already built into his kit that Runons is just going to destroy everyone. Quicksilver, make sure he doesn't get CC'd, and then the Bloodthirster or Risk Thirster, just make sure he never dies. It's like a completely broken. This is like Exodia, in my opinion. So now onto the B tier, Forgotten Draven. So Draven, he's a fine comp. You guys might be seeing like, oh, he's in B tier. Like, is he really that bad? I don't think he's that bad. So I don't think he's that bad either. It's just that everyone else is just that much better. Perhaps the Draven builds aren't fully cleaned out yet compared to the other ones. But I'm liking the Forgotten Draven a lot more than the Legionnaire Draven. And the reason behind that is because you get a shadow item. He just gets so much free stats from the Forgotten buff. And I feel like the Legionnaire buff doesn't give him enough attack speed to justify going that deep into the trait. Overall, I just think it's like a solid build. Items for him, so you need some sort of Bloodthirster or Risk Thirster for sure. And then after that, Gwynsu's Rageblade or the Evil Zeke's Herald, which steals attack speed from adjacent allies. That's going to be really good for you. And then last item, I like having RFC, I like having Death Cannon, I like having Infinity Edge. Any of those items will do. Contrary to popular belief, you don't need a Rapid Fire Cannon or a Death Cannon on Draven to make him work. It could be like any 3 items. The extra range helps, but it's not something super critical that you should like brief your entire team just to make sure you get it. So like Draven items are pretty flexible apart from the Bloodthirster, so just keep that in mind. Onto the next build, Dawnbringer Karma. This one's standard leveling as well. This one's just Karma carry. You put a blue buff on her, so every time Karma casts, she reduces her mana, her total mana by 10 every time she casts. So eventually her spell is going to be on a 10 mana clock, and so you just auto ult, And yeah, she just does a crap ton of damage. Not much else to say there. You just throw in all the Dawnbringers to complement her, or you could just throw in random tanks if you want to only play 4 Dawnbringer or even 2 Dawnbringer. It's just really the tanks that are super important. After that, Hellion Reroll. So this is a reroll build, so you want to go to level 5 without leveling up by paying gold. All your level up should be natural and from the passive leveling. So what you want to do is on 3-1, you want to do what's called a slow roll down to 50 gold, and then after that, you hit level 5 on 3-2. You'll want to continue slow rolling until you hit all the Hellion units 3-star that you can. You could also play Kled, who isn't listed here, over Teemo if you get Kled 3-star, but later in the game, I do like having Teemo. I like throwing a static Shiv on him. I think that's a really good build. But yeah, Blue Buff, Jeweled Gauntlet, Archangels, really good build on Ziggs. It's pretty flexible. I think the only required item is Blue Buff. After that, just any 2 damage items will do. And then for your frontline, GA Morello Kennen is absolutely bonkers. It's just like the best item combo on Kennen, I guess, in every single set. So just build that if you ever get him. He might be like even better than what he was last set. So Coven Renewer, GA Morello combo on Morgana is going to be great. And then after that, we have a 3-item Lissandra. I only listed 2 items here because the 3rd item really doesn't matter. Any ability power, any sustain is going to do. But I like Blue Buff Jeweled Gauntlet. I feel like that's a really strong combination because she casts a lot and she'll deal a lot of damage. Like Jeweled Gauntlet's just the best damage item. There's no argument about that. Make sure you get the Coven positioning correctly. You don't have to copy this exact thing, but you want to just make sure Morgana and LeBlanc hit the Lissandra. Like, I think I messed up in this picture. I'll fix it for next week, but I think Kindred needs to be in the back row. Just make sure that the tethers are chained to Lissandra, and then you should be good to go from there. Onto the... Yeah, I think this photo is messed up. Kindred should be a square to the bottom, but I probably misclicked as I made this. I'll fix that for next week. Reroll Vayne. Reroll Vayne is the same leveling pattern as Reroll Hellion. You just want to roll down to get 3-star Vayne before spending any gold into your level ups. And you typically do that at level 4 and level 5. And I'll release a guide later on like each of the leveling patterns, but you guys can check out some of my old videos where I talk about it because really nothing much has changed that drastically since then. But this one, Sacrificial Jeweled Gauntlet. What an item on Vayne because, wow. You just don't get the downside of the Sacrificial Jeweled Gauntlet. And that's why it's just the best item on her. And after that, you build Runon's Hurricane and then Gwynsu's because it gives a lot of attack speed. You could also go for the Evil Zeke's Herald. That one works pretty well too. I like running 6 Forgotten because we are running a Shadow item. Shadow items increase the effectiveness of the Forgotten trait. And when you have 6 of them, it gives her a lot of attack damage and ability power, both of which are stats that she likes. Onto the C tiers, like I guess we won't cover these that much. This one's just a slow roll at level 7 or level 8, depending on how healthy you are. Try to get Yasuo 3, try to get a couple other units level 3, and just go from there. Blunder Nocturne, similar to the Assassin build, you roll down on 7, but like just play the LeBlanc build, so yeah, don't do this one. Like just play LeBlanc. Abominations, don't play this at all for sure. So for items, I'm going to update this tomorrow. So just subscribe to get notifications for that if you haven't already. But just to sum up, I think everything is pretty viable. Like at the end of the day, whatever shows up in your shop, that's what you have to play. So we don't always have the biggest choice on that. Just one other note that I forgot to mention, for the Aphelios build, do not build Infinity Edge on Aphelios. Infinity Edge has always been like one of the best attack damage items, but it's bugged on Aphelios right now where his ability doesn't crit when he has Infinity Edge. I don't know if it's a bug or if it's intended, but yeah, just don't build that item on him. Maybe they fix it, I don't know. But yeah, like S tiers, these are by far the best comps. You won't know how broken Assassin LeBlanc is until you play it or face it, so like just try it and then just like laugh after you see what happens because it is bonkers. It's like she does so much damage, she's so safe, and she casts so often, it's incredible. But yeah, this is a tier list. And I'll be updating this every single Friday for the entire set. So if that is of interest to you, go ahead and subscribe below. I'm going to be coming out with a hyper roll guide really soon and an item guide tomorrow. And yeah, probably some gameplay sometime next week. But yeah, definitely look out for that. I will see you all later.